Hello, in this video I'm gonna show you how to install the Windows 11 from a USB drive onto your HP Victus 16. So this is gonna be a pretty complicated process, but if you bear with me and just follow each step that I do, you will be able to do everything correctly. So there are multiple cases that you may need to get Windows from the USB drive. The most common one is if you don't have any system on your laptop, but sometimes it'll also be because something in your system isn't working or you don't have access to your account, and that'll allow you to just reinstall Windows. But remember, if you're installing the Windows from scratch, it'll erase all of the data that is on your system. So if you have any important files, then maybe before going to the last option, which is installing Windows, try restoring the password by just on your laptop. I actually don't have a password, but if you have the enter password field, you will be able to click on restore account PIN, and then you'll just need to log in with your Microsoft account or enter security questions answers or anything else that will help you restoring your password. Also, there is a video on our channel on it, but let's get into the actual important thing in the video, which is installing the Windows from a USB drive. So since it's from a USB drive, you will need in the process a drive. Also, if you can't access the system on your laptop right now, then you will need another Windows device to help you create the bootable media. And also, there is a chance that some of the drivers won't get installed at the beginning after we install Windows. So there is a chance that your touchpad may not be working, your Wi-Fi. That's the worst case scenario, though this laptop has a Ethernet port, so if the Wi-Fi won't work, you will need to connect to the Ethernet cable in order to install the drivers for the Wi-Fi, or just to log into your account, because it is mandatory in the Windows 11 to connect to a network in order to log in with a Microsoft account, which is also required. So let's begin, and you'll just see in the process of this video as some of the things work or not. And of course, I'll show you the possible solutions to that problem. So let's begin by first taking another device that will make the bootable media on. Of course, I can do this on this laptop since I have access to it, but if you don't, then just take another laptop and we'll get to two websites that will download needed files from. So the first thing is going to the Microsoft website. You can just search for Windows 11 ISO, as you can see right here. Then go to the Microsoft.com website. Make sure it is the official one, because if it's not the official one, you may install a just false version that may be harmful to your system. So I'm just gonna turn the brightness of the screen down. Okay, and now we can just scroll down until you see download Windows 11 disk image ISO for x64 devices and select the Windows 11 multi-edition ISO. Then click on download now, and you'll need to select the language. So make sure you select the correct one, because if you select a different one, even if you change it later in the settings, it'll still have some of the things permanently set to that language it was installed in. Then click on confirm and click on 64-bit download. I'm not gonna click on it because I'm currently in the process of downloading right now, but like simultaneously, you should also go to the other website, which is gonna be shown here at the top, Rufus.ie, like that. Enter, and then you'll just need to download the correct version for your system. Most probably it'll be the x64. On some old devices there is a chance it'll be the x86, or on some new devices, but only just a few of them, it may be the ARM64, but if it's the ARM, you probably know that you have ARM, and despite that, the x64 should work on that device. If it doesn't, then it'll tell you with the alert, so you'll just be able to download another file. The P version is just the portable one, so it's not that important. And then you just need to open that Rufus exe file from the downloads. Then I'm gonna allow it to check for application updates online, and here we'll need to plug in the USB drive that we'll use for installation, and also make sure that you don't have any important files on that drive, because all the data will be erased in order to make that drive bootable. So let's just make sure we don't have anything important before we begin. And then that device should appear in the devices list. Make sure that you select the correct device so you don't accidentally erase the wrong one. It's the best to just unplug other USB flash drives if you have an option to, so it just, you know, doesn't erase the wrong device. Then here we'll need to select the boot ISO image, which I don't have just yet, so we'll just wait and select that. Later on we'll just click on start, and we may be asked about some options that we can customize, but of course I'm gonna talk about them and tell you which ones you should just optimize to yourself. Okay, and I can see that the Windows was just installed, so let's get to that Rufus tool and select that disk image by clicking on select, then pointing to the location on disk, most probably the downloads folder. Click on open, it'll scan the image for a moment and now we can click on start, and here you can remove the requirement for 4 GB of RAM, secure boot, and TPM 2.0. You don't really have to do it since your laptop already meets these requirements, and you can also remove the requirement for an online Microsoft account. So this will just let you not have to log into the Microsoft account in case you don't connect to the network. So you will just have an option to skip the network connection, because even if you remove the requirement and still connect to the network, you will still need to log into the Microsoft account. Honestly, I'm gonna remove that requirement. No, actually, I'm not gonna remove it, just in case I want to show you something later if the Wi-Fi drivers don't get installed, but I don't know yet if the drivers are gonna get installed, so we'll just see that. I'm gonna click on OK, and just wait until the status at the bottom gets to 100%. Like when the whole bar gets green and it says ready, I can unplug the drive and plug it into the HP Victus. Then we'll get to the one-time boot menu, from which we'll open the drive and install the Windows. Okay, and my Windows was just created on the USB drive, so I'm gonna plug it into the laptop, and then let's boot from it. So in order to boot from it, you need to click on the power button on your keyboard. Then as soon as you release it, start repeatedly pressing on the F12 key, which is on the left side of it. So let's do it. The F12 key will open the one-time boot menu. If it didn't help, then if it started loading, then it's probably done wrong. So instead of the F12, I'm gonna try pressing on the escape key on the keyboard. By the way, the external keyboards may not work with these hotkeys, so yeah, I was just, I think, wrong with the F12. You actually need to click on F9. So you can just go to the escape, then you'll see the startup options, and we need to go to the boot menu. So let's click on F9, then select the USB drive just with arrows and click on enter, and we'll get to the installation shortly. And now let's see if the touchpad works. It does, so that's pretty great. It makes everything so much easier. I'm gonna turn the brightness down. Yeah, you can see the touchpad that works with the cursor. So here you can't change the language since it's only the one. And the time and currency format, you can change it, of course, then click on next. You can change the keyboard or input method, but you can also change that later. Then select install Windows 11, agree everything will be deleted, including files, apps and settings. Click on next. Then accept the terms, and we should be able to select the drive for installation. And here, if you have a second partition that you have files on, then and you don't want to erase that, of course you can keep it, but it is up to you. It is on you to know which partition it is. So most probably, you know, on the disk 0, which is probably the disk that is your installed disk. If you want to be fully sure, you can just sum up the total size of all the partitions plus unallocated space from that disk that you want to check, and see if that sort of matches around the size of the disk that you have installed. Of course, it's not gonna be the full 512 gigabytes, for example, or whatever disk size you have. It's just the conversion stuff with operating systems, so it's always just a bit different, though you just need to know that that's how you count the disk size if you want to make sure that you're erasing the correct disk if you have multiple ones in your system. And if you have a certain partition that you don't want to erase, you just need to know which one is it. And the partitions the other partitions that can be erased, just click on them. I can erase all of them, so I'm like, it's the best if you don't have a second partition. Like, just click on each of those, click on delete partition, and do that with each of them. So we just have the unallocated space, and this is gonna be the only thing. But if you have that, as I said, the second partition for files, you should get to a state where you have the disk 0 unallocated space and disk 0 partition 1, and the partition 1 should be the partition that has that just has the files that you want. So let's select the disk 0 unallocated space and click on next. The disk 1 in my case is the USB drive, so I can't really even erase it. Now let's click on install, and this process will take quite some time. So I'll just get back to you when it restarts. It'll restart probably around 2 times. and it'll just get to the setup of the laptop. And the Windows was just installed, so let's get through the initial setup process. I'm gonna go through all of it, so we'll see if there are any errors, but I hope not. So let's click on, let's just select the region, of course, the keyboard layout. You can also add a second one by clicking on add layout or skip it. Then, as you can see here, it doesn't have the Wi-Fi drivers, which is pretty bad. If you want to make everything really simple, you can just connect to an Ethernet cable, because there is an Ethernet port on this laptop on the right side. So you can just get the Ethernet cable and go through the rest of the process. And that's what I'm gonna do, but later on I'm gonna show you what you can do in case you don't have that Ethernet cable access, because you need to be able to get that cable, plug it into your laptop on the right side, and connect it to your router. So I'm gonna connect it quickly, but just bear with me. At the end of this video I'm gonna try to help you solve the problem with the Wi-Fi driver. But this method with the Ethernet cable is the most reliable and also the fastest one. Okay, so it's identifying my network. Of course, if you don't have the access, then you can click on I don't have internet. It was there, but you can only click on that if you have removed the requirement for an online Microsoft account in the Rufus tool. So let's click on next now. And now it'll start checking for updates, and it's a 100% chance that it'll find these updates. So we just need to wait. You don't have to do anything. Actually, you shouldn't do anything. Make sure your laptop is plugged in at all times, so it just doesn't discharge during this process. It'll restart everything for you and just get to the next step automatically. So just don't touch anything on a keyboard, or don't turn it off and don't unplug it from the charger. Okay, so since I have removed the requirement for an online Microsoft account, it asks me for the name of the user, but honestly I'm gonna just get through the standard setup process with the online account, so you can just see how it looks normally, although it will check for updates again, so yeah, it just doesn't matter at this moment. And this process, the second process of updates, is gonna take a bit longer because it is in 3 steps. It's downloading, installing, verifying updates, and so on. It'll also restart your laptop again in the process, so just wait and make sure not to turn off or unplug the laptop, as I've mentioned earlier. And now, as you can see, the update was installed. You might have noticed that in the process the screen flashed several times, and that is pretty normal. And now let's get to signing into the Microsoft account. If you are setting up without Wi-Fi, of course, you won't have without Ethernet, you won't have the updates, neither will you have the Microsoft account and some of the other further steps. So you can just sign into Microsoft later in settings in case you want. If you don't have an account, you can create it here, but I already have it, so I don't need to. Now let's create a pin to our account so it can be logged in with that pin. You can include letters and symbols in that pin, but I'm gonna make it only numerical, so I don't need to select that option. Then I'm gonna allow no location, but it's up to you. Then I'm also gonna allow find my device and configure all of the other things myself, but it's all up to you. I encourage you to read all of these things and decide on your own which permissions you want to give. Then if you have a backup from your other laptop on your Microsoft account, it'll show this screen. So you can just click on continue, or what I'm gonna do is click on more options. Here you can either select a different backup or click on setup as new PC, so it'll just not restore any backup. Now it'll just ask me a few additional questions which are not really important, and probably I'm gonna decline all of it, but it's all up to you. These are some services, some of them are paid, some of them are unnecessary, or for some people they will, of course. I'm gonna skip this part because it doesn't do anything then. It asks me if I want to connect my phone to my PC, and I don't, so I'm gonna click on skip, but feel free to do it. Then I'm gonna backup files and click on next, so I don't lose any of my files if something happens to my laptop. Then I'm gonna skip that and that as well. Then the Microsoft 365 family, I'm gonna decline it because it costs $130 per year, and also the $2 per month for Microsoft 365 Basic are also gonna be declined by me. So let's click on next to only use the free features. And it is finishing. So by now, if you are using the Ethernet cable, everything is done for you. The last thing that I recommend doing is the settings and Windows update, checking for updates, waiting until everything installs, downloads and installs, then restarting if you're prompted to. Although I'm gonna do something for those who haven't had the Wi-Fi the Ethernet connection, so most probably you'll need to do it on another device that has internet access. Just go to search for HP drivers. Let's see if we can find it that way. If not, then probably we'll try it another way. Of course, you need to have access to the internet, so probably use another device. I'm gonna select laptop. Make sure you're going to the support.hp.com website, so it's the official one. Now I'm gonna enter my serial number of this laptop, but you can also just enter the product name. I think there is gonna be the serial number. I'm gonna picture it so I can type it in easily. Okay, then select the OS version. So honestly, I never know which one to select. I mean, I know that I have the newest version, which is at this moment 24H2, but sometimes this version works, sometimes the Windows 11 itself. So if it doesn't, then we're gonna just go back and select the other version to try to install that. And here we just need to find the network driver. And then select the wireless LAN driver. So it's gonna be either named wireless LAN or Wi-Fi, wireless, WLAN, whatever. I'm gonna select the download and install automatically, manually, so it just is quicker. Then I'm gonna open the exe file. Of course, if you're using the other device, transfer it through a USB drive. Then I'm gonna click on yes, next, accept, next, next. And it's gonna just install the driver. So this is a very simple process. After it's done, try restarting your laptop, and after, just by clicking on the start, then the power button, click on restart, and after it restarts, try connecting to the Wi-Fi by going to settings, home, or like system, no sorry, network and internet, then go to Wi-Fi, and if you can turn it on and click on show available networks and it detects any, then everything is correct. You can connect, then go to Windows Update and try updating, so just click on download and install all and wait until everything is done. If some of the drivers don't get installed for some reason and something still doesn't work, try restarting your laptop, going to Windows Update again. Still doesn't work, go to Advanced Options, then go to Optional Updates and go to Driver Updates, and here you'll see the driver updates that are optional and install only the ones that don't work. So if you have several drivers listed here, for example for your webcam, touchpad and microphone, and only your webcam isn't working, then select only the webcam and install that. But if the Wi-Fi driver didn't help, then you just need to go to the previous step and select the other versions, so like maybe not the 24H2 but the Windows 11 itself, if you have problems identifying which version you have, so you don't have to just install like 5 versions. You can get to the settings. In the settings, go to System, scroll all the way down to About, and here you'll see the version -24H2, so that means that I should either try the Windows 11 or Windows 11 version 24H2. And all of these things should help you. If you had any problems, try revisiting the previous parts of this video and trying repeating some of the steps. And that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.